Alright guys, today I'm going to defend the Christian faith against a few quotes by Richard Dawkins. Here's the first one. The word mundane has come to mean boring and dull. It really shouldn't. It should mean the opposite. Because it comes from the Latin word mundus, meaning the world. And the world is anything but dull. The world is wonderful. There's real poetry in the real world. Science is the poetry of reality. He wrote that in The God Delusion. What does the quote tell or imply or suggest to you about Richard Dawkins' worldview? In other words, what does Dawkins believe to be real, or what is ultimate commitment set behind everything he says? Well, he's basically saying science is all that matters. If something is not scientific, it doesn't exist. Basically, he's saying he's a materialist. Has Dawkins proven or given evidence for his worldview, or has he merely assumed it? If he has given evidence or proven it, please support your answer with details of that evidence or proof. Well, he's just assumed it. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't give any evidence out of his head. List all the assumptions behind Dawkins' quote. What are all the things that would have to be true in order for the Dawkins quote to be true? Things shouldn't be dull. They should be interesting. Science is all that matters. Science proves that God doesn't exist. That's what he's saying. Do Dawkins' words contradict his own beliefs? Yes, they do. He's saying that we can come up with a concept on our own. We can even come up with the concept the world, for instance. He's also saying that the world is poetry. And what's a poem without an author? He's also saying the world should be wonderful, but why do you expect wonderful things if everything just happened by chance? You need a wonderful creator to have wonderful things. If Dawkins' worldview were true, that is, if what he believed to be real and his ultimate commitments were real, what other things would have to be true? Well, God would not exist or would not care about the world. Humans would have evolved from one-cell organisms. What scientists and historians think is what is real is what is right. Humans are always right. Well, what evidence can you demonstrate that Dawkins not be true? Well, he's saying the world's wonderful. Like I said, why do you expect wonderful things without a wonderful creator? Material doesn't really come from nothing. If we did come from a puddle of goo, which we didn't, then where would the goo come from? Also, when Richard Dawkins refers to the afterlife, saying it doesn't exist, he's just speculating, because it's impossible to prove anything about the afterlife that happens after death. Alright, next quote. Nobody knows who the four evangelists were, but they almost certainly never met Jesus personally. Alright. What does the quote tell or imply or suggest to you about Richard Dawkins' words? What does Dawkins believe to be real? What are his ultimate commitments at back of or behind everything he says? Well, he's stating that the Bible isn't real. He's also stating that the gospel writers were writing a fictionist purpose to state their own purposes. Has Dawkins proven or given evidence? He merely assumed it. He's just assumed it again. He's just saying this. He has no idea. List all the assumptions behind Dawkins' quote. That is, what are all the things that would have to be true in order for the Dawkins quote to be true? Well, humans wrote the New Testament without God's help. It's fake. There's no historical evidence the New Testament is right. No evidence. I'm not believing it. That's basically what he's saying. Do Dawkins' words contradict Dawkins' own beliefs? They do again with the concepts. Humans can't come up with concepts without a divine creator. It's just not possible. They can't even think properly without a divine creator. If Dawkins' worldview are true, that is, if what he believes to be real and his ultimate commitments were real, what other things would have to be true? God would not exist or not care about the world. The New Testament was either faked, unreliable, or a legend. Humans would evolve from one-celled organisms. What scientists and historians think is real is what is real. Humans are always right. What evidence can I produce to demonstrate that Dawkins' worldview cannot be true? Well, James, the brother of Jesus, was a real person. He was mentioned as Josephus, a first-century Jewish historian, who lived right around the same time as him.
fossils was real. Why does he think the rest didn't? That's about all I have.